Welcome to a Black Talk Radio News Report, special for Gaston County Community Talk in Gaston County, North Carolina. Shout out to my fellow Gastonites. But Scotty Reed here, and Gaston County, if you have not been reading the papers, is among the highest cases in North Carolina among counties with COVID infection rates, COVID death rates. I was reading in the Gastonia Gazette online edition that we're averaging, since October the 15th, been averaging 2 deaths per day, according to COVID. Now, for those that live in Gaston County, and I imagine that we're going to see a pattern from here on out as we are just setting new records across the nation in terms of positive cases and death rates. So I just imagine that a lot of these red, quote unquote, red states or quote unquote red counties where they followed Trump's lead and other conservative logic and ignoring this pandemic and playing down is deadliness in order to keep businesses open, because they were more concerned about the stockholders and the business owners making dollars than they were about saving lives. And those lives are costing the U.S. economy. But Tracy Philbeck, who is the chairman of the Gaston County Board here in Gaston County, North Carolina, from the start has followed Trump's lead. He's a big, major fan of Donald Trump. I mean, he was making posts on November the 6th talking about how Donald Trump is still his president. So he has politicized the COVID response in Gaston County. I mean, other department, I guess you would say, other Gaston County government officials like the health department have been putting out, CDC recommended guidelines and encouraging people to wear masks and things of that nature. But in terms of Tracy Philbeck, the chairman of the Gaston County Board, has sought to undermine all of that. When I first met him, he wasn't wearing a mask when I attended a Gaston County meeting back in March. And this is when COVID was really taking hold or taking root in the county. And he wasn't wearing a mask. And he came up to me and shook my hand. And this is why COVID guidelines are in effect, because that's how it's spread. All right, either touching surfaces, including people's hands that have the virus, and then you touch your face, which of course I didn't, and then sanitize my hands. But, just simple things that we can do to reduce the transmission of this disease. This man has undermined, including the lockdown efforts or the social distancing efforts in terms of shutting down restaurants and what have you. And many restaurants just went to drive-through if they already had a drive-through. It was those dine-in only restaurants that were suffering. But again, this is putting dollars before lives, and in the long run, actually costing you dollars, killing your customer base, killing your tax base. And it's just ridiculous now. In this latest article where the Governor Roy Cooper has announced this color-coded scale, from red, orange, and I guess yellow, of spotting the counties with the most infectious rates of transmission and, again, fatalities as well. And he's just straight up lying when he's being asked questions about how effective have these lockdowns been. And again, he's been undermining it, along with the sheriff, who is a Democrat, of course, Tracy Philbeck being a Republican. But again, this isn't a partisan thing. It shouldn't be. And the sheriff Alan Cloninger, stated back in March or from the start that he wasn't going to enforce like any kind of social distancing mandates coming down from the executive branch of North Carolina government, the governor's office. And so now Gaston County is among the highest. And of course, a lot of that is due to that Trump rally. So let's take a look at some of the comments that Tracy Philbeck made. The GastonGazette.com reports last month, State health leaders, including North Carolina Health and Human Services Secretary Dr. Mandy Cohen, asked leaders in counties with high community spread of COVID-19 to consider stricter pandemic precautions. Gaston County was among 36 counties statewide to receive that letter. Gaston County has pushed the message of wearing masks, washing hands, and staying 6 feet apart, proven methods of reducing spread of COVID-19, said Tracy Philbeck, chairman of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. The county has done what it can to stop the spread of COVID, Philbeck said Tuesday. It's a virus, and viruses are going to spread, and the best we can do is try and slow the spread as best we can, Philbeck said. Now, here's the thing, though. If you're reading this in the Gaston Gazette and you haven't been attending the Gaston County Commissioner meetings, if you haven't been reading other articles in the Gazette where Tracy Philbeck is quoted making statements to undermine and saying how he won't enforce social distancing or support fining any businesses. In fact, even on the as it pertains to churches, he was arguing that they shouldn't have to social distance. And yeah, let's just pack them on in because it's hurting pastors' pockets or churches' collection plates when they don't have as many as people as possible in the buildings. Now, he could have took the route of saying you could have outdoor, out in the parking lot. You could relocate somewhere else to like a public park and hold it, just trying to he was arguing as if these conservative pastors, and I do have to point that out, because they have politicized the pandemic and, them arguing to have these indoor meetings and weddings, and you see churches get paid for these things. Again, this is putting money before lives. And so Tracy Philbeck, if you read that and you didn't know his history and his background, then you would think that, hey, this guy makes a lot of sense. He's just saying everything that the CDC has been saying, and that is not the case. That is not the case. So let's finish up this quote. Gaston was the first county in the state to create a COVID task force, which Philbeck said continues to meet several times each week by phone. So again, this is, as I was saying earlier, you do have these commissions that have been putting out stuff that I've seen on social media. I haven't really seen any billboards being paid for, but I have seen on social media some very well done public service announcements is what we'll call them, whether they were in graphic form, just images or what have you, or whether they were in video. They have been pushing that message. When you talk to these officials, like at the Gaston County Health Department, they sound like scientists, they sound like doctors, they sound like people who understand how viruses are spread. And so that has been occurring. All right, but it goes on to say there's nothing more that we can do other than shutting everything down, and that has proven not to work, Philbeck said. The people of Gaston County do not want to be shut down. First of all, Gaston County has not, to my knowledge, done a poll. All right, to my knowledge, they have not commissioned a poll, not one that I have participated in. Also, I would point out that Governor Roy Cooper was just re-elected, and most of the people that I talk to or within my circle, they pay attention. Okay, they follow the guidelines. They take the pandemic serious, and they were not photographed at a Trump rally, which aerial photographs looks like from above a COVID mosh pits, and then you're taking pictures of yourself along with Commissioner Chad Brown, and you're taking off your mask. Okay, and then, speaking of the other commissioners, we sit in these commissioner meetings, and you're elevated in these chairs above, on this platform above the people who are seated in the gallery, and you're not wearing masks. You're not, because you've never supported it. Following the leadership, again, of Donald Trump, and in case of the county board, Tracy Philbeck, but he wants to lie like everything. We've never had a full shutdown. Why would the businesses shut down when you are quoted in the Gaston Gazette as saying that you won't enforce any kind of punishment or penalty upon these businesses? And obviously, remedies being one of the businesses that recently a bunch of employees caught COVID. And then there was another one that shut down inside of East Ridge Mall. I think that was Children's Place that had to shut down for deep cleaning, and an employee who had contracted COVID from a family gathering. All right. And so all the other employees had been exposed to her and they had to test. So, it has never been, Gaston County has never been fully shut down. The gyms were shut down, and then you had one of the gyms, because they had, in addition to, the gym equipment, they provided nutritional meal planning to some of their clients because of their special license. And they were, in fact, able to get from the governor's office an exemption, but still had to require certain, social distancing rules within the gym, as well as providing hand sanitizer and requiring the wearing of masks. Tracy Philbeck has done everything to undermine all of that. And again, he's not going to say that the Trump rally with that, I think it was 23,000 people. I'm sure not all from Gaston County. I don't know the percentage of how many of them were actual Gastonites. I'm sure many people came from neighboring counties and possibly even other states to see the Führer, their leader, speak ahead of the election. So 24,000 people, most of them wearing no mask, the vast majority wearing no mask. And again, Tracy Philbeck and Commissioner Chad Brown photographed, with their arms around other individuals with no mask on. So let's not rewrite history, Mr. Philbeck. All right, this has been Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio News Report. Special for Gaston County Community Talk. I want to remind you to please support the efforts of the nonprofit Black Talk Media Project. Make a donation today. One of our projects is blacktalkradionetwork.com, where you can subscribe to this podcast, BTR News, and other podcasts as well. But please take this pandemic serious. Wear your mask, social distance as much as possible. We got Thanksgiving come up. No traveling, to see family members, because we are in peak season right now, and we've been warned about it. So if you truly treasure your loved ones, then let's take the precautions we need to take to make sure that they are around for the next Thanksgiving. All right, this is Scotty Reed. I'm out. Peace and blessings to all.